Planning for a ski trip can be exhausting and confusing. You have to think about how to bring all your stuff with you, which resort to pick, how you're getting to the resort, potentially winter driving, and how to bring that insanely high cost down. I am currently planning a ski trip to Japan, and honestly, just thinking about it gives me so much anxiety. I have skied a lot in Colorado for a few years now, and I have also done some out of town trips myself. So I wanted to create a series of videos to help you plan your Colorado ski trip. I can probably go on and on about this stuff for an entire day, but today I want to start with how to choose the right Colorado ski resort for you. Colorado has a whopping 28 ski resorts, which is very cool and exciting, but it does make picking one pretty difficult. So let's narrow it down a little bit first. If you are coming to Colorado to ski, you are most likely going to be flying into the Denver International Airport. Most of Colorado's famous ski resorts are situated along this one highway, I-70. It makes a lot of sense to stick within this area because these mountains are closer to the airport. This means that there are better options for transportation, and if you're driving in the winter, I-70 is a lot easier compared to most other mountain roads. Now let's talk about some of these specific mountains. If you are a beginner, my top pick would be Ski Cooper. You really can't go wrong on the front side here. The greens are really flat, but not so flat that you are scooting all the time, and the blues are more like greens at other resorts. The lifts are a little slow and it's not the fanciest resort, but the lift tickets are some of the cheapest and you can stay at the nearby town of Leadville, which is really cute and relatively affordable. If you are a beginner with a bigger budget, I would highly recommend Beaver Creek. They have multiple beginner areas, and because it is a little bit farther away from Denver, it never gets too crowded, which for me was extremely important when I was just starting out. Buttermilk, which is part of the Aspen Area Ski Resort, is also a great beginner spot, and you also have the option of flying directly to the Aspen Airport, which is right across the street. A lot of people like to recommend Breckenridge, Keystone, and Copper Mountain for beginners, and I think these are actually inferior options. Let me explain. Breck actually has pretty decent beginner terrain, and they are very conservative with their terrain ratings. However, I don't necessarily like Breck for beginners as much as the other options because it can get very crowded, especially on the green runs over on Peak 9. Keystone has a great magic carpet and bunny hill, but their main beginner run is 3 miles long, often very crowded, and I personally think it's on the steeper side. It is a lot more difficult than the bunny hill. Copper Mountain is often recommended because the green runs are mostly all on the skiers left of the mountain, so there's less chance of ending up on the wrong slope. This is definitely true, but I find that a lot of the green runs at Copper were really difficult compared to other Colorado resorts, and some of them were also quite long. Now let's talk resorts with good groomers. My personal favorite for a good groomer day experience is Vail. The runs at Vail are wide, and because the resort is so big, even when it's a busy day, you can still feel like you have a good amount of space to yourself. If you like long, fast blue groomers, I would also consider Copper and Keystone. If you're looking for easier, cruisy blue runs, I would go to Breck. Somehow, I have never felt like it was too crowded on blue runs at Breck, especially at the Peak 7 area, even if you have to wait in a long line. For some of the steepest blue groomers in Colorado, check out the Beavers area at Arapahoe Basin. Those two blue runs are wild. I have a little bit of an obsession with skiing moguls, and if you're like me, you will want to find a place like the Mary Jane area of Winter Park, which is hands down my top pick for skiers who enjoy moguls. Here, you will find the best blue and black mogul runs, and these moguls are enormous. If you are up for a leg-burning challenge, make sure to hit the iconic Black Run Outhouse. Winter Park is a decent place to learn mogul skiing, but I actually prefer Copper if you are just getting into it. There are some nice, easy bumps that are under the American Flyer lift, and the blue runs under Timberline often has some mild bumps as well, although these will be a little steeper. Now, let's talk about advanced and extreme terrain. I am still learning, so I can't say I have skied the most extreme stuff in Colorado, but I do have some idea of where you can go. My absolute favorite place for the hardest stuff I personally ski would be Arapahoe Basin. I spend a lot of time skiing the Pallavicini terrain, where it is very steep, but the snow is often very good. I also love how it is located right at the base. I have not personally skied these areas, but the steep gullies and the east wall at A Basin are some of the most popular places for inbound extreme skiing. Another one of my favorites is Breckenridge. The high alpine terrain there is amazing, and you have so many different steep bowls to choose from. It is also probably one of the best places to start skiing double black runs. Of course, Breck has some of the best inbound hike to terrain in Colorado, but I promise it will take a long time to even get bored with the lift accessible terrain. If you are able to travel a little further, Aspen Highlands, Aspen Mountain, and Snowmass all have great steep terrain, and all three mountains ski a little differently, so you will get some variety visiting all of them. Copper is also a great option, though my personal experience there is limited. Okay, this next section is a little bit controversial, but I am going to talk about snow conditions. In general, it is pretty hard to go wrong if you're coming in January, February, and early March. And for the most part, there isn't a huge variation in snowfall on any given day. However, you will really start seeing the difference going into mid-March. In my personal experience, Loveland and A Basin have the most consistently good conditions. Breck is also pretty consistently good, though there can be a pretty big difference between the tallest point and the base area. All three of these resorts will most likely still be very good in mid-April. One of my best ski days of all time was at Breck in mid-April. It was a proper powder day and the entire mountain was still open. Vail and Steamboat get some of the most snow in Colorado, but due to the lower elevation, it is really only good mid-season. I have had some truly terrible days in March at Vail. Winter Park also has one of the longest seasons with good snow, and it really shines in the late season. You can even catch a good storm in May sometimes. Skiing in Colorado is not cheap, but there are so many ways to save some money, and I will go into detail in a separate video. But in this section, I do want to highlight a few great resorts that will most likely keep your overall cost down. Ski Cooper is the first one that comes to mind. Leadville hotel prices are so much cheaper compared to the rest of this area, and it's still relatively close to Denver. I also really like Loveland as a more affordable option. An added bonus here is that Loveland is just 1 hour away from Denver and offers some really good skiing, including double black runs right out of the base area and free snowcat skiing in their high alpine extreme terrain. And the cheapest place to ski here, hands down, is Echo Mountain. They only have a handful of runs serviced by one lift, but they are really close to Denver and the tickets start at $59. You can even get a night skiing lift ticket for $35. For those of you who might want the full ski town experience, or if you're traveling with non-skiers, my top picks would be Breckenridge and Aspen. Breck is probably the closest proper ski town to Denver, and the town is right at the foot of the ski resort. There are some really great dining options and activities for non-skiers. Aspen is arguably even better than Breck. It feels even more like a proper town with a bigger downtown area. It is pricey, but the food there is excellent and the shops are more interesting to look at. I spent half a day there once just walking around looking at fancy stores and art galleries. There are so many art galleries. You can even head over to the Silver Queen gondola station and watch people ski down. Beyond these two, Vail and Beaver Creek are attached to nice villages, but they both feel less like a real town but rather mostly ski-related shops and restaurants attached to the mountain. There are also some ski areas that have towns a little further away from the slopes, including Crested Butte, Steamboat, and Winter Park. But in my opinion, it's just not the same as places like Aspen and Breck. The last category I want to touch on is ski resorts with the best variety of terrain. My top pick here would have to be Breckenridge. They really have everything from super flat greens to steep bowls, and if you like to ski or ride the lift with your friends at different levels, there are some great options to do that here. Snowmass is another mountain that comes to mind when I think about variety. Copper Mountain also has a little bit of everything, but with how the mountain is structured, it is a little hard to ski with people of different abilities. Now, if you're looking for a resort with the most variety of extreme terrain, I would have to once again direct you to A Basin, which is really not a big ski area, but there are so many different types of difficult runs you can do. Okay, so I know this is a lot of information and you might be considering more than one factor when choosing a ski resort, so I will stick a summary of what I just talked about right here. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if you think I am wrong about any of this, feel free to chime in as well. I am planning on making more videos like this, so if you like this type of content, please drop me a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I will see you on the slopes soon. Bye!